A little while ago, I was playing some Risk of Rain 2. You see, my friend had downloaded the game on console, and I have had the game on PC for a few years now, but I decided to get it on console anyway so I could play with them. And I decided to play a few runs before we hopped on together just so I could get the feeling back, and I played on the easiest difficulty just so I could unlock a couple of things. And it was the most fun I've had playing this game in my entire life. Now, I don't want you to misunderstand me here. I love this game. I've loved this game since I first got it, and I will love this game forever. But for some reason, I had never played it on the easiest difficulty, and I had no clue why. Maybe it was some kind of self-imposed restriction. Maybe I had seen other people get made fun of for playing on easy difficulties, and I was adverse to it. But whatever the reason, I had never touched it before. And after playing this run, I am so eager to hop back into this game to play it again. So of course this run ended up being a god run. I got all kinds of cool items and weapons and I was doing all this cool stuff, and I will show you the footage of that later, but I don't think that's the reason why I enjoyed this run so much. It's probably because I just didn't feel rushed to get through each stage. I could appreciate the art, the design of the enemies, the animations of my attacks, and the beautiful, beautiful music that I was listening to. And after this 3-hour god run was finally over, I sat back in my chair and I asked myself, what is it that I find fun about video games? I had always thought that difficulty was the point. Overcoming adversity, overcoming a challenge, that's why I play video games, or so I thought. Because here I was, straying from my quote-unquote reason for playing video games, and having more fun as a result. And so I had to ask myself again, is Risk of Rain 2 the only game that this applies to, or is this just the way that all games work? And once I adopted that mindset, I started to have more fun in pretty much every game I ever play. But what does that fun look like? In case you've never played Risk of Rain 2 before, it's a roguelike where you go around, collect a bunch of randomized items, fight a bunch of randomized enemies, but the key selling point is that pretty much every item stacks infinitely, meaning that you can get up to some really cool shenanigans once the timer starts to get high. And as I alluded to earlier, this run was 3 hours long, so the shenanigans definitely got pretty hectic. And that's going to be the topic of today's video. What does it mean to have fun in video games? Who gets to decide what is fun? And how does that differ from person to person? Have you ever heard of this small little game called Elden Ring? It's made by this indie dev team called From Software. They're responsible for some other great underground games like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. But Elden Ring was special. It was really a breakout success for this company. Not only did it win a ton of formal accolades for its quality, but it's also responsible for bringing a bunch of new people into the Souls-like genre as a whole. So why exactly am I talking about Elden Ring? Well, I think it's one of the perfect examples of creating your own fun within a video game. You see, Elden Ring has 411 weapons, 124 armor sets, 213 spells, 84 summons, 154 talismans, and a metric ton of consumable items. The reason why I love Elden Ring so much is that no matter who you are or what interests you, there's probably a playstyle that matches that interest. And on top of all of that, regardless of which build you decide to go with, every single one of them is game viable. Yes, even in a From Software game where things are difficult, they still made it so that every single possible build has merit to it and is totally viable for beating the game. And yet, When you engage in discussions about Elden Ring online, there's a very strong sentiment of policing the way that people play. And if you've ever been in these Elden Ring discussion spaces, you know exactly what I'm talking about. These people will come in and they'll say, oh, if you beat the boss using spirit summons, it doesn't count. If you beat it using magic, it doesn't count. If you beat it using incantations, it doesn't count. If you use dexterity, it doesn't count. If you use strength, it doesn't count. If you use this list of really strong weapons, it doesn't count either. And I just want to come on here and say to anyone that might be thinking about these things that those people are wrong. Play the game that you want to play. It's a single player game, for crying out loud. And it's exactly those types of people that made me scared to play easy mode on Risk of Rain 2. Right? Despite it being my most preferred playstyle right now, I was avoiding it because I was afraid of what other people would think. But that shouldn't be the case, especially in a game like Elden Ring where they provide you with so many options for playing it. So don't be afraid to use that weird build that you just made up in your head. Or use that really strong weapon that has a cool looking moveset. Or even use spirit summons. I use spirit summons all the time because I find it fun to fight alongside these cool looking creatures, and honestly, the only way to play the game properly is the way in which you are having fun. Every other way doesn't matter. That being said, I still find the existence of this social pressure both weird and fascinating. The fact that a small group of fans was able to convince the broader From Software community that using mechanics within the game that they bought is weird is just a very strange thing overall, isn't it? How many people do you think there are out there that only play games a single way because someone else told them to? And they don't know that they would be having more fun if they played it a different way because they've never tried, and they're really just missing out on having their best possible experience. Don't be that person, try out different ways of playing games, figure out what you like instead of what other people are telling you you should like. I do want to stress though that I am not making the argument that you should always play games on the easier difficulty or try to make them easier for yourself in order to have fun. I just want people to play games in the way that they enjoy the most instead of the way that other people are telling them to play. And to exemplify that, I thought I should bring up another little game called Expedition 33.
Dim, dam, dadilam, vacarme, s'en va dans l'oubli éternel.
Right before I started playing Expedition 33 for the first time, one of my friends who had already started the game told me not to play it on the hardest difficulty. He said that on this difficulty, it becomes very hard to progress because every single enemy defeats you in 1 or 2 hits, and that makes it incredibly frustrating having to redo basic encounters over and over again. But of course, me being the contrarian that I am, I decided to play it on the hardest difficulty just to spite him, and I quickly found out that he was telling the truth. Enemies do defeat you in 1 or 2 hits, and the progression is slow because you're constantly having to redo these random encounters due to the enemies, of course, defeating you in 1 or 2 hits. But where my opinion differed from my friends is that I found this process incredibly enjoyable. I think that landing a parry in this game is one of the most satisfying feelings in all of gaming, and part of that satisfaction comes from the fact that you know that if you missed, you would have been defeated instantly. With this simple change in mindset, I felt like I wasn't just being asked to defeat these enemies. I was being tasked with mastering their movesets and perfecting the encounters as a whole. Every single victory, both against bosses and fodder enemies, felt significant. No single win felt trivial because every single enemy, even the weakest one, took a significant amount of effort and cognitive function to defeat. And so on the other side of things, I felt like I was improving both inside and outside of the game. And in the early game, this entire feeling culminated with this boss fight, where I defeated it without getting hit a single time. And looking back on this footage, it doesn't look significant. The enemies in later sections of the game have supremely complex movesets with jumps and chromatic parries and all this stuff. But this moment is when I was fully locked into the game because it felt like I had truly become a better player. And a significant contributor to that feeling is that I decided it for myself. Sure, my friend told me to play it on medium instead of on hard, but I still tested out all the difficulty options before I actually locked in on playing the hardest one. Only you can decide what is the most fun you can have for yourself. Sure, my friend knew me quite well, but he even got it wrong. I like the hardest difficulty more, and I'm glad I found that out for myself instead of just trusting him. So you guys should do the same too. Alright, I think I've sufficiently got my point across. That's pretty much all I wanted to say. Video games are supposed to be fun, but how exactly you have that fun changes from person to person, and nobody can tell you how to have fun in the game that you're playing. That is a decision that you have to come to yourself. But I still encourage doing a little bit of experimentation and trying out new things every once in a while, because you never know. You might stumble upon a whole new difficulty mode that you ignored the entire time that is actually your favorite now. Video games as an art form and as an entertainment media are all very interesting because of their ability to be different from one another. What you find fun in one game might not be fun in another one, even if those two games are very similar to one another. So if you're playing video games and you feel like you're not having as much fun as you used to back in the day, try switching things up. This could mean finding a new game in a new genre that you've never tried before, or it could even mean playing the same game but in a new, different way. Because you know what? There's a whole world of games out there. 2025 has been amazing when it comes to video game releases. There are so many excellent games out right now to play. I guarantee you that there is something that you will find fun. Thank you for watching.